Hi, welcome back to my decorating series. We're going to go inside, going to the 18th floor this week, and starting with a breakfast room. Need to remember to add in all of my additional rooms so that I can have the doors to mess with and get started. Now, I knew one of the big pieces I needed to put in this room was that, I think it's a beverage something. Anyway, station, maybe that's the word. I can't remember now. Actually, I struggled finding it for a minute, but it has a very distinct look. So I knew that I had to incorporate that black and gold and kind of just those clean lines, but I knew I didn't want to just do that look. And so I started looking at some of the Mulan stuff, some of the Sleeping Beauty, I think it's Sleeping Beauty, those new kind of long dining tables that are a little bit modular. But I just knew I had the options of either like red and gold and black or blue and gold and black with those particular pieces. So now I'm just kind of messing around with some tables. I did look at the retro stuff for a little bit, but it is a little bit too different, and I don't have enough pieces to kind of flesh out the rest of the stuff that I know I want to put in this room. So I'm just trying to like decide on what style I want to go with as far as the tables and chairs, and once I figure that out, I can start really blocking out this room. I actually really liked the fact that I got to use that Oswald door again. I want to say the only other space I've used it in was, oh gosh, was it the home theater? I think it was. That was a long time ago now. But some of those doors are just so elaborate, it's hard to figure out what spaces to use them in. And so I was really grateful to get to use them again in here. And it also gave me a reason to use the pillars that come from the Oswald stuff too, because they mirror the look of the door on the entry to this room. So I also went with the Mulan stuff. Part of the reason I did that was because of the red from the Sleeping Beauty dining tables, but also because it's tied into some of the other spaces. I'm pretty sure I used those in the lobby along with the Mulan sliding doors. So I thought it would be interesting to mess around with this stuff mixed with the Art Deco stuff, because they're not, similar, but I feel like there's enough pieces that kind of bridge the gap between them that they do end up working out really well in this space. I also really like these shoji walls just because they imply a lot of window light when they're not actually windows, because this room in particular on every floor is hard to add windows to because 3 of the walls are taken up by doors that seem to be next to other rooms. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to put windows on those walls, but since these really aren't windows, it still kind of gives that feel without actually being a window. And I kind of imagine that there might be hallways on the other side of these walls in particular, just because if it is a hotel type space, it might actually have kind of a space that's not just a room, but a hallway in between. So now I'm using the floors to space out the tables and everything. I wanted to make sure there seemed like there was plenty of seating, but not full-on cafeteria feel. I definitely still want it to feel somewhere in the in-between of actual hotel, but also home, also kind of a bed and breakfast. It's kind of a non-traditional version of all of those kinds of spaces. So I feel like it gives me a lot of leeway to mess around with the layout. And that's been a lot of fun. One of the reasons I've been enjoying these last few floors is just because it is so different, and I'm allowed to kind of think outside the box on several different types of rooms and really mess around. But I did want it to feel almost like a continental breakfast situation. So that's why I'm going ahead and making almost like a food line on either side. I did use those kind of metal carts on the ends with stacks of bowls. I kind of wish we had stacks of plates too, but the effect is still there. Oh, and I really I love these lanterns that we just got from Winnie the Pooh. I want to say they're Tigger lanterns, but they're so stinking cute. I feel like they add just an interesting flair to the space. And then, of course, the lighting at night. Love it. I mean, it is a breakfast room, but I just love the look of it. And, you know, you could still use this space for other occasions. It doesn't have to be just about breakfast. It's just that's what the room is I guess the main purpose of it. I did toy around with adding some carpets in here. I think they could have worked. I really would have preferred the red ones, but the red ones are huge. So I don't end up keeping them. But I did have to go by Scrooge's shop because I did need some more counters and some more chairs. I had actually run myself low enough on both of them. And then I just want to make sure that we're being symmetrical. Even though I feel like this is a little bit fancier than most continental breakfast spaces would be in a hotel, I still wanted it to feel like more function than form. This isn't a fancy dining space. So it's fancier than a regular, you know, hotel continental dining space, but it's still not, you know, this isn't fine dining here. This is a functional space. So I decided to look at maybe a little bit of plants, a little bit of decor on the tables. But I feel like in the end, it feels like a little bit too evening dining. And I didn't really want to go that direction, even though I do love how it looks with the lighting at night. Oh, and at the last minute, I was like, oh, I meant to put some of these bins in here. They don't end up working very well for me. Mostly because I've taken up a ton of space with the other objects in the room. But I do end up adding those little cleanup robots. I've actually been to a restaurant where they use a robot for service, and it's kind of a fun experience. But I don't know. They don't look like the aesthetics in the room, but I still feel like it's kind of fun to have in the space. And then a last minute fountain because I like it. All right, well, let's go inside and check it out. I know I've been saying it a lot in the last few floors and the last few builds, but I am really having such a good time with these last few floors. You know, this house is so big, and if you don't just do, if you don't do any kind of just storage rooms where it's just function and no form, there are 80 rooms to be had in the houses in this game. And so, you know, when you're first starting, it feels like, oh my gosh, I have so many ideas. And then kind of halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, you're like, uh-oh, what else am I going to do? At least for someone like me who doesn't consider themselves like the best at coming up with different ideas. And so it really kind of pushes you to test your boundaries of what you can do. But I really love how this space turned out. It feels like a continental breakfast room where like you would come in and there's, you know, self-serve and make your own pancakes or heat up your own things or make your own smoothies or whatever, but it still feels nice and fancy. I'm so obsessed with all of the lanterns. I love the fact that even though it's different than the other spaces, I'm still using a lot of the same objects from the lobby space, so it still feels aesthetically tied together, but not so similar that you're like, oh, she's just repeating more stuff in a different room. There is repetition, to be sure, but I'm really excited that I was able to marry kind of the Asian flavors with the Art Deco flavors. The red, gold, and black really works together for me. And even that addition of the fountain, I know it seems a little bit odd or different maybe for the space, but I use them in the lobby, and so it still feels like they're connected in that way. And I'm just so excited that these last few floors are not feeling stale to design, and I'm excited to get to the rest of them.
That's it for today's decorating adventure. If you liked this video, a thumbs up is a great way to let me know, and a subscription will keep you up to date on my latest shenanigans. If you want to hang out with me live, I stream on YouTube and Twitch on Thursday evenings and middays on Sunday. I hope you have a lovely day, night, time, wherever you are, whenever you are. And I'll see you next time.